Corner podcast. My name's Jeff, and him over there, what's your name?
Yes, my name is Paul.
How are you tonight?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm starting to get a little bit hot and sweaty because we have a heat wave on the way here in the UK. It's literally been like winter this last week, and I've had my big jumper on and everything, but now I've got down to my Speedos ahead of the good weather forecast.
If you're listening, only listening, you are in luck. If you're watching on YouTube, well, yeah.
Dude, if it's like this next week, it's going to be mankini time, I'm telling you.
Green mankini.
Crack that one out, if I can find it. It was in a box of elastic bands last time I saw it.
Well,
so I'm looking for a needle in a haystack. Sorry, go on.
Before we get into things tonight, I just wanted to say that we've had quite a few comments come in to the post about the topic for tonight, which is great. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
We've also put some more videos out onto YouTube, which have had quite a few comments come in and picked up a couple of new people as well, which is great. So they are mini cut downs from various other episodes that we've done, some new, some old. We did have someone unsubscribe because we'd spammed too much content, which is...
Technically, YouTube spammed it. It's a YouTube algorithm. So we just upload videos, and what YouTube does with them is nothing to do with us. Frankly,
and also quite funny in an age of endless content. We do more than one thing in a week, and it's too much. But anyway,
let's unsubscribe.
So
go on. Yes, I've got a bone to pick with you in a minute. So,
okay. Yeah. So to the new people that discovered us
hi.
Through that spammage, I think hello, thank you for joining. Yeah, and if you are new to us, we have quite an extensive back catalogue of episodes. In fact, if you've been listening to us for a little while, there might be things in that back catalogue that you're not aware of. So if you go to whoc2c.buzzsprout.com, it's our website, and you can search through the episode list there, so you could look up for actors, doctors, etc. that you're interested in, or you can do same over on YouTube, which is youtube.com/@whoc2c. So yeah, do go and check things out. It's quite nice when someone says, "Oh, I just found that you did this, or you spoke to this person a while ago." So we've sort of 4 odd years of stuff behind us.
Long years. Yeah. Weekly episodes. We've never missed a week, ladies and gentlemen.
So yeah, thank you everyone. It's great. We really do appreciate the engagement and interaction from you all.
And views and downloads as well. That probably more than comments.
Yeah, it's about equal really, because the more people, the more you're engaging, the more you're listening, and the more people are aware of what we're doing. So
for sure.
So tonight we're going to be tackling, that makes it sound like it's a chore, but we're going to be talking about what are we looking forward to in the future of Doctor Who across 2026, because once again we were thinking, what do we talk about this week?
1974, 2026, the year of our Lord.
And we had a comment on YouTube from someone that said it was nice to find a positive podcast, and I thought, well, that's nice to hear, and indeed we do try that. And I thought, what could we do this week that sort of can play on that a little bit? So the fandom at the moment is in the dark. Nobody knows what's going on with anything. So, but I thought, but there are things happening. We may not have a clue what's going on with the main show. So, what are we looking forward to that we know is coming?
Good idea.
Or that we hope is coming. So before we go over to some of the socials and bring up some of those, Paul, what about you? What are you looking forward to in the remainder of the year ahead?
I'm looking forward to the Christmas special.
Yep.
I want to see how it all plays out. I know you're not a massive fan of whatever's been out there, but I don't care what the rumours are. I'm going to wait and see and make my own mind up when it comes out.
Which you should do, yeah.
Exactly. That's what I always do with Doctor Who. I always look forward to it when it comes on the telly. The rest of the stuff, I'm looking forward to some big finish. There's some good stuff coming up there. Target novels, maybe. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see.
What, the Target ones this year? Have they announced them yet or not? I
I think
can't
there's a bunch
remember.
out already, isn't there? So
Is there?
yeah, Satan Pit and all that kind
Oh
of
yes,
stuff, and
that's
then
right. Yes, sorry.
Robot
Yeah.
Revolution and what have you. You know, trouble is that a lot of them are kind of like based on stories that I'm not a massive fan of. So there's part of me kind of thinking, well, quite often when these stories are transposed into novel form, they do kind of grow. The gaps get filled in. Backstories give things a little bit more grounded credibility and a bit more weight, perhaps a little bit more story, a little bit more seasoning than the sort of cut down things that we see on TV. But then likewise, sometimes it's like, well, a lot of that stuff can get in the way of the story. So I don't know. Well, I'll wait and see. I'm a bit kind of on the fence as regards those.
Yeah, it's a bit strange doing targets for stuff that's only, relatively just been on screen.
Well, no, they used to do that in the old days. You'd literally have a season of Doctor Who, like certainly when it was like Peter Davison's era. Those stories would come out pretty much as soon as the season would finish. Terrence Dix would be working away on his typewriter. So it's nice to kind of see that coming back in, if that is a thing. So, there's a lot of Target books that have been novelised of, Series 2. There's Lux, there's Robot Revolution. We've had stuff from Series 1, Space Babies. I think Empire of Death is coming out as well. So, it's nice to see that coming back, and I would always be very supportive of that, because that for me back in the day is what brought Doctor Who to life. As I told you on this podcast before, I rarely watched it on TV, but I absorbed. I was a glutton for Target novels. I loved them so much. They were great. And if they're doing the same thing to younger readers of this generation who are going to be the Doctor Who fans and producers of the future, then I'm all for it.
I didn't realise it was like that. I always sort of thought that they'd been done some long time after.
Well, some of them had, yeah, because they didn't start writing them until like early 70s properly, when John Pertwee was the Doctor. So they already had a back catalogue. I think there were three books, The Crusades, The Daleks and The Zarbi, which had been published in the 60s. But that was it. That was all William Hartnell and Troughton ever had published when they were the Doctor. So it was only in the 70s that they started to sort of pick things up a little bit. And they would sort of do a sort of run of current stories versus some older stories and so on and so on.
Well, that's fair enough then, yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, okay. So, I sort of thought that they hadn't done the Target stuff yet, but I forgot that those handful of things came out recently. So I guess that's probably it for the
and I bought
year.
them, so I'm looking forward to getting them.
Yeah,
probably.
Yeah,
maybe.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to the Circuit Breaker event with the Fugitive Doctor. I think it starts. Is it maybe in June that it begins?
Is it?
So I'm looking forward to that. And I did see on Instagram the other day there was a couple of little interview clips of Jo Martin talking about it in her new costume and things. So hopefully they'll start rolling
that the costume
out
with the hat. She's got a hat.
Yeah, and the sort of jacket and stuff has changed a bit. So hopefully they'll start rolling out more of that over these next few weeks. It should be good. I'm certainly going to pick up the main book of it that she's written and the Titan comics. I think it's just a one-off issue for it, actually. I don't think it's a series from Titan. And then I think there's one or two Big Finish audios, then a couple of BBC audios as well.
We've got some War of the Sontarans things, or was it Sontarans v Rutans v Sontarans?
Yeah, that's not
1.2. Breaker. No, 1.2, that's coming out pretty soon, isn't it?
Yes. I've listened to the first one with the Fugitive Doctor in, which is quite good. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to that a lot. Should be good and nice to see, the Fugitive, taking a spotlight like that.
The Fugitive.
And then there's obviously some new figures coming out this year as well.
Yeah.
Which I'm very much looking forward to as well. Having seen them.
You've seen them already.
I've seen them.
You've playing around with them and broken them already.
Yeah, no, I didn't break them. The postman broke them. Looking forward to that coming out. People's pictures of those and their reactions to them when they get them in hand themselves. So there's a couple of things. I think of course, obviously the rest of the 13th Doctor adventures that are coming out from Big Finish as well. And I think I've still got a 6th Doctor Amperi set from Big Finish that I'm halfway through at the moment. And then there'll be another Sixth Doctor one, maybe August time. So I'm looking forward to that as well. I'm hoping they might have Lisa Greenwood back as Flip to accompany him, because she's sort of been absent for a while. So we'll see what comes with that. Yeah. So there is stuff to look forward to, and I think actually we'll probably end up being surprised about kind of how much there is. Certainly, Circuit Breaker is going to be dropping quite a lot of things. Across its various things. I wonder if we can manage to kind of cover all of it. We'll have to see.
We'll have to get across all the platforms.
Yeah.
All the different bits of it.
Yeah, see if we can afford it. But we'll do what we can on that. So I thought I'd go over to Blue Sky first. So we asked what are people looking forward to across the rest of the year. So Supreme Human said just the 13 adventures, to be honest, which I can kind of get behind. And he said if I was not being honest, I would say the Christmas special if Tennant is in it. And then Matthew Vernon said, Big Finish has been cooking this year. Fear of the Light might be the best Rani story of all time. The 13th Doctor series is perfect. Helter Skelter was an awesome box set. I don't know which one that is. And he says, also got the DWA reprints coming, and if the official clues of the Christmas special are true, I can't wait. There's been a lot of kind of rumours flying around about it. I don't know what's obviously what's true or what's not, but that's good to see some excitement for it. But then to contrast that, Morgan says, if I'm honest with you, lads, I just want to see Doctor Who back to how it was under Chris Chibnall. I miss the magic of Doctor Who without the need of gods and stupid space baby rubbish. Thankfully, Disney is gone. So thanks for your comment, Morgan. Yeah, I know where you're coming from, but once we need to, once Christmas has happened, hopefully we'll have a bit more of a clearer idea of what the future's going to look like. Because it's all kind of up in the air at the moment. So, Paul, I believe we've also got a voice note from one of our Blue Sky readers, followers, which is The Future is for Everyone, which I think must be about what he's looking forward to for the year ahead.
Yes, indeed. This is Lee. So this is what he sent us.
Hi, Jeff. Hi, Paul. I'm looking forward to the release of the Peter Davison box set that should be coming out in July in the U.S. I am excited about the recasting of the 12th Doctor. I enjoyed the recasting of the 11th Doctor, so I'm looking forward to the stories that will be coming out in that respect. We have a Sarah Jane story coming out with Tom Baker, with Sadie Miller. I've enjoyed the last couple, so I'm really excited about that. We also have Rutan versus Sontaran stories coming out, and if they're anywhere near as good as the Fugitive Doctor one, which I thought was phenomenal and probably the best written story for her, I think it's going to be a lot of fun. The other thing I'm looking forward to in 2026 is to see how you two pick up the gauntlet. No, you didn't say gauntlet. The challenge I presented in the last voice memo, as far as, the New Year's stories, and as far as maybe a live reading of a script. So that's my items. I hope you guys have a great day.
Whoa, Lee. Oh, he's throwing that challenge in, is he? He's throwing that gauntlet down again. It's reminded us. I thought you might have forgotten about that, but no, it's there.
I mentioned that to someone the other day, actually. And they said, that would be quite good. So I said, we had thought about it. But we haven't got much further on it at the moment. But I think I'm quite interested to try and do that.
It'd be fun. It'd be a good idea. I'm up for it.
Yeah, Lee's just kind of listed a whole load of Big Finish stuff there, which is probably along the lines of what Matthew was talking about. But I had seen about that Fourth Doctor with Sarah Jane adventure. Is it one of the Rutan ones? But I did think, oh yeah, that looks like it could be quite good. And I've heard that the 11th Doctor, what do they call it? Chronicles, when it's not the actual Doctor, doing the voice. That stuff was really good. And the 12th Doctor lot is coming out as well, which is what he meant about the recasting. I think it's easy to forget. Obviously Big Finish do a huge amount of stuff, but just actually, kind of how exciting, some of it is within there. Well, a lot of it really, yeah, I might have to check out a bit more of that, actually. So thank you for that, Lee. So going over to Twitter, and also, Paul, there's another what's turned into a hot topic to bring up.
That's my bone I'm going to pick with you.
Oh, was it? Oh, right.
Yeah, I'll cover it when we get to it. And then I'll be fine then. I'll be nice and pleasant again. I won't be as angry.
Yeah. Michael Moslin says Christmas special which has no CGI monsters from 40 years ago and no Tennant. Just a good old-fashioned fun romp where I can turn off my brain for an hour, plus more 13th Doctor audios. It's so funny with the Christmas thing. People are either sort of a bit against it or...
I know. It's not even been out there yet.
Positive. Well, I think people...
This is what happens in a vacuum when we don't have any information, perhaps.
Well,
this
possibly.
is the
but also I
downside
think
of
people are sort of probably a bit sort of fed up with certain things, and people who are either sort of a bit like you, cautiously optimistic. Or
always optimistic.
A bit more... reserved on it, I think.
Until it blows up in my face, I'll always walk towards the fuse. It's probably not a good thing, is it? Actually?
I don't know what
it's
that
not
means.
Good life advice.
Mini Meekwa says, this year I'm really looking forward to Circuit Breaker. Seeing more about the character of the Fugitive Doctor was always my wish since her intro, and I really want the BBC to see the character can be really more than just a bonus Doctor and deserve proper screen time. So, yeah, I think, putting Fugitive in the kind of lead of this big event, and really this Circuit Breaker's kind of the main Doctor Who stuff for this year, isn't it? Until Christmas, so it's great that she's getting that spotlight. I mean, we'd like a TV mini series or something, but we don't really know what's happening with the show, and in terms of any streaming partner, budget, all this kind of thing. So I don't think that's really feasible at all at the moment, sadly. But who knows? Maybe down the line. But this is good. This is a good fill-in for now. Yeah,
and I do wonder.
That's but it's giving us something without it being on screen.
Yeah. And I do wonder if this is part of the reason why we don't have such any concrete information about what's coming up next, because they want the attention to be on Circuit Breaker. Like I said, that's the big thing. So as soon as people start talking about streaming partners and new deals and new show and new Doctors and all the rest of it, all the attention diverts away from what is actually out now, which is the stuff with the Circuit Breaker stuff. Give Jo Martin what she's always deserved. If there's one thing that unites fans, is that we all wish the Fugitive Doctor had more screen time or more airtime or whatever. I think generally there's a lot of love out there for the Fugitive Doctor.
Yeah.
So let's make it a success. Let's go out there and see what it's all about when it launches.
Yeah. Hopefully people.
I'm up for it.
Get behind it. Yeah. And then Kane Parker, who's a new name to me, certainly, says the new figures, the Big Finish, and the new Target novelisations as well. So, Kane, if you're listening, I wonder which of the new figures you're particularly looking forward to.
Let us know.
I'd be quite interested to hear on that. Do let us know. Thank you, everyone. Paul, we also had a voice note from William as well, didn't we?
Indeed. Do you want me to play it?
Yeah, so this may be about things he's looking forward to, or it might be about something else.
It's not. No, I've had listened to it. It's not.
Okay. All right.
It's about something we covered the other week, but it's good.
Timey-wimey.
Depends if you want to stay on topic or not, or segue into something else.
Well, I think we've sort of kind of covered a little bit of that now, so that's fine.
Right, okay. Let's hear from William. So, actually, I mean, both William and Lee kind of turn into regular contributors.
Yeah, it's great.
It's just like almost give them their own slot on the podcast.
Yeah.
And now, welcome to the William and Lee slot, where we hand over to our avid listeners, William and Lee. Let's hear from Lee. No, William. See, I messed it up, didn't I? Here we go. William.
So first of all, I just want to mention Space Babies. You mentioned it's a terrible episode. I do agree with that. Just because with the Disney big deal, I can't see how that was seen as the only option for the first episode. I think if you're going into this new from Disney Plus, I can't see how that was the best idea to have as an opener. So yeah, it's not one of my favourites. The second one gets better, and there is some good episodes in that, but to have that as an opener wasn't a great move. And then secondly, I've been watching the Fugitive Doctor introduction, Fugitive to June, and I think it's a better introduction of a kind of non-numbered Doctor that isn't chronological. So she's the Fugitive Doctor, so when we compare it back to the War Doctor, I much prefer her introduction with the whole chameleon circuit, how she got a normal life, and then she has to figure out the chameleon circuit. And then, her whole normal life is then ruined because she realised she's had this past that she never knew. With the War Doctor, from what I can remember, he just kind of turned up at the end of a Matt Smith special. So on that front, I think it has a much better backstory for the Fugitive Doctor. And, those two, Joe Martin and Jodie Whittaker, they have great chemistry together. And I do wish she came back, Joe Martin. I know she's doing the Circuit Breaker, so I look forward to seeing what that entails. But yeah, that's my opinion on that. And thank you for keeping me in the podcast.
You're very welcome,
you,
William. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I've forgotten about that stuff at Space Babies at the start of that. But...
Well, yeah, I mean, I'd forgotten all about it in general. A couple of things.
Rude.
Thank you, William, and Lee as well. Getting these comments in, particularly when William's are sort of maybe a little bit behind where we are when we're recording, which is no bad thing at all. It's giving things for us to talk about. It's inspiring.
Yeah, it's all
new
good.
things, which is really good. So thank you. So I think he's made a very good point there about Space Babies, that Church on Ruby Road I thought was a pretty good episode. It was a good sort of intro to shoot him, and it was slightly bizarre that. He didn't. I think he didn't appear at the beginning for a little while, did he? And I know someone's like, you kind of keep the Doctor back and kind of hold that reveal. I kind of think, when you've got a new Doctor, you want to get into it, fairly quickly.
It's kind of a bit like Rose in a way, though, isn't it? Because Rose starts with Rose for 5 minutes or so before the Doctor shows
and
up.
It's establishing her life and things.
So I think this tried to kind of. Or I think leaned into that kind of template, which to be expected, really. Russell T Davies coming back on.
And that's actually a really good point, because with Rose, it's been off air for, 16 years. So Rose becomes the audience in a way, and we meet the Doctor in through her eyes, rather than sort of being thrown straight into something with the Doctor. And we've all been watching now for upwards nearly 20 years on it all. But for new people who watch Church on Ruby Road for the first time, it works as a good introduction. And I think also, it's worth remembering that, you, me, whoever, we have our thoughts and views on the show and things, but there's new people watching all the time. And,
100%.
It's like that, I see people at the moment, saying that they think the Mandalorian movie is terrible and stuff. But there's other people who, like me, I don't really care about Star Wars. I want to watch.
Yeah, we know that. Grogu, you keep tweeting about it.
Yeah, but my point is that just because hardcore Star Wars fans don't think it looks great, there's other Star Wars fans out there.
I consider myself a hardcore Star Wars fan. I think it was brilliant.
Yes, but there's a lot of people.
It's just so-called hardcore Star Wars fans, like so-called hardcore Doctor Who fans, who believe that the series ended after Peter Capaldi left.
Yeah.
They're the same guys as the one filling the crap with all this stuff about Star Wars, basically. They are not the majority as much as they might like to think they are. They're just very loud people.
Well, yes.
Sitting in their basements in their grungy pizza, surrounded by empty pizza boxes.
But I can't remember what my point was.
I don't know.
Church on Ruby Road was a really good episode.
Yes.
And, a good lead, but then there was quite a gap between that and Space Babies. And, as that was kind of pushed as the particularly on Disney, as the start of this new era and things.
Yeah.
You know, it was a weird episode, a weird
Very
choice.
bizarre episode.
You know, and I think sort of like Williams kind of getting at there, if it had come along a little bit later, you know, we know the Doctor and Ruby, you know, it would have been a sort of a fun bit of, you know, romp.
Yeah,
you know.
agreed. Totally agreed.
But as an opener, I you know, to be honest, I think it caused a lot of damage. I think people just thought, what is this? You know, if you've never watched Doctor Who before,
and that's your first experience
in America, you know, Disney, they didn't have Church on Ruby Road as a sort of big thing, I don't think. You know, I've heard of Doctor Who, it's a big British thing, it's really popular, let's
big
watch
success.
This. You know, you're just going to switch off straight away. And he's right.
Spaceships powered by fart gases and nappies, soiled nappies. A monster literally made out of that.
Yeah. It was.
I mean, okay, you know, Doctor Who can be bizarre and wacky and fun.
It goes back to Slitheen, you know, but it's just. I don't know. It was such an odd. I don't really know what to say.
We talked about this, I think, when we reviewed it anyway, didn't we? So tonally very strange, but hey.
And then the Devil's Cord was largely really good, you know. So it was so weird the sort of jarring shift from one.
Well, I think
to another.
over time there seems to be a lot of antipathy towards the Devil's Cord now. I think people have watched it a few times and probably thought actually there's not an awful lot of substance in there, perhaps. Yeah. I quite liked it at the time, to be honest. I've only watched it once since, and I actually didn't enjoy it as much the second time around. I thought, maybe, but
I haven't gone back to it.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Maybe I should. Maybe I'll be.
That's why I'm looking forward to the Christmas special, because maybe this is going to be the first chapter of the exciting new volume of Doctor Who that is going to blow us all out of the water.
Yeah. So it might be. Who knows? I hope so. You know, I'm quite down on it because I'm over a lot of things, but I hope it's really good fun, and I hope that, you know, it sets things up for a future. And I would really like if there is like at that point, we know what's going to happen.
It would be nice for sure.
There's a new streamer, you know, in another year's time there'll be a new series, a new Doctor, blah blah blah. You know, rather than it ending with a sort of full stop kind of thing. I see that AMC are streaming New Who in the States now. So there was a rumour a couple of weeks ago that AMC were the new streaming partner. So maybe that was misinterpreted. But it could be that there is going to be a new production partnership. But either way, that's good that people in the States have got you know, some easier access to it now, as I assume it's all off Disney again. So the other topic tonight, I went through various videos on YouTube, and it does this sort of suggesting, you know, clips thing, and it's random. Some of them, some episodes that we've uploaded, it will give us sort of 4 or 5 bits to pick out from and with a sort of title to them, such as are the Slitheen the most terrifying monster in all of Doctor Who?
A bit like this thing does, Riverside does that, doesn't it, after we finish the recording?
So it wasn't me going through and doing it, but
it's the AI.
It's the filthy AI doing it.
Filthy AI.
Sometimes
AI
it picks up, you know, gives you a title, and its bit that it's picked is sort of accurate and actually connects to it, but there's other bits that are wrong. Anyway, it gave me, you know, a load of things which I put out. One of them was, is Village of the Angels better than Blink? And we had a handful of comments over on Twitter to it, and it's almost like I've thrown a hand grenade.
You tapped a vein, you did. Especially because you put in brackets, yes, underneath it, perhaps, establishing with this line in the sand exactly where whose C2C is on this.
That is what I think. I have reasons behind that. Yeah, well, that's, you know, I've put my thought out there. I have, you know, reasons for that. I think that Blink is a great episode. It's a bit like we talked about. Well, we talked about it last week, which is like where this clip came from. Blink's great, but it's such a non-Doctor Who episode that, you know, when you say to someone, "Oh, I'm going to introduce you to Doctor Who," let's sit down and watch this episode.
It's like watching Space Babies, but in reverse, perhaps. It's maybe the more erudite version of that. Is it? I mean, is any Doctor Who episode like an atypical kind of Doctor Who? Really?
Someone made a good point. I think possibly on YouTube. Sorry, I can't remember who said it.
So into the socials, it's coming at you from all directions.
There's been a lot this week, and it's sort of been more than usual. I'll just see if I can find it quickly. But anyway, they said they would start with the first episode of any Doctor. Which I thought actually that's a good idea. That's a really good point. To be fair, and then you can sort of give a bit of an idea of the show as a whole, and particularly what that Doctor's era is going to be like.
I think Doctor Who has always had some really nice kind of jumping on points, and I think if you're lucky enough to be there and jump on when the new Doctor starts, that's great. Sometimes it doesn't always happen, right? Because you think Tom Baker had like a 7 or 8 year run, so as people sort of coming of age during that. So when do you sort of jump on? But it's always kind of reinvented itself, as we've said. Every few seasons, a new producer jumps on or whatever. And I think the modern series has done the same as well. I mean, my daughter jumped on with Pilot, which is interesting because that was a story specifically designed to be a jumping on point. All the kind of angst with the 12th Doctor had kind of been done and dusted. So this was kind of a bit of a breath of fresh air and sort of a parting away from all that stuff that had gone on in series 8 and 9. So, and actually it kind of worked. It worked pretty well for her, because if she'd have jumped on earlier, she wouldn't have enjoyed Doctor Who at all. All that stuff just wasn't for her. But the Pilot, she loved it, and she stayed with it since.
Yeah, there are the odd, sort of jumping on points. But it's I think Blink is great.
It's a really, really good story. I mean, it won a Hugo Award, for its kind of sci-fi-ness.
It's very clever.
It's really well constructed.
Yeah.
What the question should have been really was, is it a better Doctor Who story than, or which is the better Doctor Who story, or whatever, rather than just, is it a better story?
Well,
is Village of Angels a better story?
What this has done,
it's all subjective anyway.
Well, it is all subjective, and it's shown that the attention-grabbing headline of something it causes conversation, which is
that's what you're doing.
Exactly. What we were trying to do.
Right.
So I just found some comments on Twitter, YouTube, that will come to in a minute. So Time Tales over on Twitter said, I think it's easily the closest to Blink of all the Angels stories. And that's probably true, because Flesh and Stone is a much more kind of
it's quite different, isn't it?
Thrillery action thing, which I think is quite good. I mean,
I'd say more sci-fi.
Village is really horror, and Blink is kind of more almost sort of detective mystery, and it's quite interesting actually that the Angels can be sort of bent into these sort of quite different genres and still work quite well there, so that's quite good, I think. Michael Moslin says, as an episode of TV, Village might be slightly inferior, but for being an episode of Doctor Who, then it's better. The Doctor is actually in it, which is a plus.
That's always a bonus.
Having the Doctor in an episode is always quite important, really. And then let me just move my pop out here from Riverside. Neil Matthews has put a GIF of the 10th Doctor shaking his head.
Yeah.
So thanks for that.
So we know their opinion.
Yeah. I'm going to come back to this.
It's good.
No, I'm going to come back to this in a minute. Spider, who's at Universal event, has put Steve Carell from Something going, no. Mason simply says no.
I love a good GIF.
Some bloke called Jonathan Wilkins says no.
Who's that?
Probably the best episode of that season, and maybe even the Jodie era, though. Neither is as good as Time of the Angels, two-parter, though, top tier.
I love Time of the Angels.
He's
totally agree.
He's not right, in my opinion, but he's not far
totally
wrong.
Totally right.
And then Mark Mook, who's we do follow each other, but I don't recognise his name. He just says yes. Gabriel says, I plan to revisit Village, but upon release I didn't get the hype for it and wasn't too impressed. Maybe it was my mood after loving the first 2 episodes and being disappointed by Once Upon Time. and that's also quite interesting because I think Once Upon a Time is a brilliantly weird
It's a good one.
episode,
Yeah.
and it sort of bends the sort of things of the show a bit,
The things of the show.
the boundaries and what it can do a little bit. But yeah, it is sort of quite unusual. Ironically, it's a little bit like Blink in a way, in that it's not your usual sort of Doctor
No, it's
Who.
quite unique again.
Yeah, but the Doctor's in it, yeah, sort of going from that, which is, I can see why it's not everyone's kind of cup of tea, to Village, which is to an extent more traditional, it's sort of a leap,
With the Village of Angels, it always reminds me in some ways of things like the demons and stuff like that. It's got that kind of church gothic demony vibe kind of thing, crypts and shadows and weird, mysterious things happening. I love all that. I mean, that's a core staple of some of the best Doctor Who stories.
Yeah, well, I like her. So this whole thing,
You do.
I like a spooky thing. I like horror films.
Yes, you have
so
said.
An episode
Yeah.
of Doctor Who that's spooky is always going to trump, anything, else for me.
Just on that. Just on the fact that it's spooky.
Yeah, I like horror
It
stuff.
doesn't have to be like a really well-written, well-crafted, well-directed story.
Cameron says, is The Phantom Menace better than The Empire Strikes Back? And I said, don't ask me, I don't do Star Wars unless Grogu's
This is
in
Geoff, by the way, not me, right? This is Geoff tweeting
that's why I
this stuff.
put my name on it.
Thank God.
Yeah, I'm not a Star Wars fan. So
I love Star Wars.
Yes, I know, and that's absolutely fine.
I'm going to put an Avatar post on there the same,
Go on.
and then see how you feel about it. Eh? That'll rattle a cage a bit, wouldn't it?
I'm not being rude about Star Wars, I just don't watch it.
Only watch it if it's got Grogu in it.
Yeah, well, it's because I find that pairing extremely good.
Anyway.
So yes, I'm assuming that Cameron is getting Empire Strikes Back is better than The Phantom Menace, which it probably is. But then there'll be people.
Depends how old you are. I think
exactly.
a lot of it.
There'll be Star Wars fans who prefer The Phantom Menace.
Totally. Do you know, my mate, who sadly is no longer with us, he wasn't a fan of The Phantom Menace, I'm not going to lie, but he did not like The Empire Strikes Back at all. We had so many arguments over it. It was just unreal. Because The Empire Strikes Back is still my most favourite Star Wars movie of all time. I think maybe Rogue One might have come close to it. But Empire is really special because it's a great film and it's got a lot of kind of moments attached to it in my life and stuff as well, and all of that. So it is really special. And yet my mate, he always used to say, I'd just fall asleep during half of it because it's got this big sink in the middle. Real exciting opening, big sink in the middle, and then some exciting stuff at the end, So, and he's right, I can't argue with that because the pace does slow a lot in the middle of it. But I love that. I just love that story from beginning to end.
Yeah, and that's absolutely fine. I mean, to be honest, reading all this, like, what is
it's
the
all
point?
Subjective.
It's all, like Matt Brannigan here, who says, no.
You said you were going to enjoy reading
I enjoy reading this comment out. That's fine, Matt. I'm telling my opinion, and I sort of wonder, what we should just respect each other's views, really, shouldn't we? TTJ _NYG says it's the best episode of Flux, but not as good as Blink. It's absolutely fair enough. I am not saying Blink is a bad episode. I think Blink is excellent, but like I said, I just don't think it's it's not a normal Doctor Who.
And it doesn't tick all your boxes, does it? At all. The Village of Angels ticks a lot of your boxes. A lot of the stuff that you love in genre fiction, in TV, and Doctor Who particularly, it's all there. So of course you're going to love it. I love it as well. Do I love it more than Blink? No, I don't know if I do. But
that's
I think
fair
the
enough.
two things are quite distinctly different. It's like,
they are as
for
well.
me, it's like comparing apples and oranges in a way. But I think once you put them in a Doctor Who setting, Village of Angels becomes, for me, a more it just becomes a better Doctor Who story for me because it hits more Doctor Who beats than Blink does.
Yeah,
like we said, it's got the Doctor in it. It's kind of a prerequisite.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit like I was really looking forward to 84 yards because I thought that was going to be something a bit kind of folklore, a bit spooky.
How many yards?
is it 84, 83? I don't know what it's called. And
it's getting late, people.
It started out really well, and then went off in a way I was sort of not, that keen on. But the Doctor wasn't in it, which is a fairly substantial thing, and I think, if Village of the Angels had another Doctor in it, could have fitted quite well Capaldi, going with like Listen and and things like that. It still would have been a great episode. Yeah, okay, cool. I'm biased because 13's in it, but for me, it's a superb episode. I really like Hyde with the 11th Doctor. It's a kind of sort of ghosty story type thing. So that's something that I particularly like. And you're right. It does tick more boxes for me. I think Blink ticks a lot as well. I like its cleverness. I like the sort of mystery element of it. But yeah,
I think the thing is, you could, if you think yourself, which of those stories could you lift out of Doctor Who, and it would still be the same? It's going to be Blink, because you could lift Blink out of Doctor Who, stick it in the X-Files, or literally any kind of supernatural, Black Mirror, even, or something like that, and it would absolutely work. You just change the Doctor's input into some other kind of dude who's just dropping messages by DVD bonuses. If you took Village of Angels out of Doctor Who, it wouldn't work in any other show.
No.
It absolutely wouldn't. It might be a curious thing, but it would be so off kilter to whatever it's dropped in, because the Doctor is intrinsic. The heartbeat of Doctor Who runs through that story from the very first minute, the very first episode, right until the last.
Yeah.
You won't get any of that kind of power or attachment to the story if you took it out. No. Whereas Blink, it would, and it would be a great story in any of those shows. It would be the same story. So, is it intrinsically Doctor Who? Not really, but it is. It is a good thing. It's a good story, but it's an interesting thing because there's been a lot of Doctor-like episodes in the modern series, isn't it? Right? Because they filmed so much that the Doctor actor, whoever was playing the Doctor, had to have a little break in times, and it has led to these. I'm sure we talked about it last week, so I don't want going over it again. But it's led to these interesting kind of left turns, so to speak. These little experiments that they've done, and I think it's great. Doctor Who at its best is a show that can push the envelope. Can you tell a Doctor Who story without having the Doctor in it? Well, you can't tell the same sort of story because it needs the Doctor, but you can push the envelope and do something else, and that is where Blink comes from. It's it's having that challenge and that brief in front of Stephen Moffat's desk while he's thinking of what to do. So, from that perspective, actually, it is a Doctor Who story. So, I don't know, whatever way you come at it, I think actually they're both really good. It just depends which one ticks more of your boxes, perhaps.
Yeah, that's it, basically, I think. Yeah. I just brought up YouTube here, and it was Jack Bennett who commented saying, first
Jack.
video of yours I've seen, and I wanted to say it's so refreshing to find a positive corner of the fandom. He said, I share both sentiments, I think, regarding the current sort of state of situation of the show. I wish they'd have just cut to black rather than shoehorning Billy in at the end to quote unquote make content.
Leave it open.
But I'm cautiously looking forward to Christmas, so that's good. Yeah, and I'm coming around to that as well.
Good man.
And then Bad Wolf 66, who I believe you've also been conversing with Paul about an audio drama, had responded on the video about the Slitheen and said you could say there is a Slitheen within all of us. And I was very funny, and I said, is it not an adipose? So, thank you, guys. We've had some... Oh, and there was The Ponderer, and one of the videos I put out was about Brian, in his character. No, Ryan, and his character.
Ryan. Yes, not Brian.
Who's
Brian?
But The Ponderer said, I come to appreciate Ryan more, and every time I revisit the Chibnall era, to the point I genuinely feel a bit defensive over his character when people dismiss him as weak or poorly written. Through Ryan, we get to see a directionless, angry boy grow into a purposeful, confident, wise young man, and his relationship with 13 is super underappreciated yet.
100%.
And
totally agree with that.
We agree with that. And then unsubscribed as well came in. So, I'm not going to name names. So that's a really load of great comments and things from people.
Yeah, it's brilliant. Thank you very much for those.
We really appreciate it. So, do please keep things coming in. If you want to send us a voice note, you can do that through the podcast when you listen on YouTube or Apple or wherever. There's a link to do that, or you can go to www.speakpipe.com/whoc2c and send us one through there, or just comment and tweet us or blue sky us. So we'll be back next week with something
else.
We'll figure it out.
I don't know what it is.
We're also planning a live stream soon, Lee.
That'd be fun.
Not for an audio drama, but for something else. So we're going to have some more news on that and a date soon, so look out for that. Thank you everyone. Appreciate everything and all your support and your ears and your eyes. So we'll see you very soon on Who Corner to Corner.
Bye for now. See you next time.
Bye.